C'est un séisme qui a déclenché aux États-Unis. Le 24 juin, la Cour suprême américaine a enterré l'arrêt de Roe vs. Wade, établi en 1973, qui garantissait le droit national des Américains à l'avortement. Maintenant, depuis son renversement, les États américains sont libres à choisir eux-mêmes d'interdire ou non l'avortement. Une décision qui a divisé le pays en deux. Pour Beverly Winkioff, présidente de l'association Génuité et spécialiste de la pilule abortive, les effets de cette décision pourraient être dévastateurs.
There are a number of outcomes that could happen. I don't know which ones will, where, when, how, but one, women will die because they can't get procedures. Two, doctors may go to jail because they have helped someone that's outside the range of what some people think you should do. Family members may also go to jail in some states because they help the person go somewhere. It's draconian in a sense that has never been seen, I think, in American jurisprudence and law. What people are trying to do, it's somehow like an avalanche of cruelty that's coming out. It's not even clear to me why people feel this way, but it is so distressing that there are people in our communities who are willing to see women die because they have something inside them that has a full set of chromosomes. That's ridiculous. It's not a person. And it will never be a person.
Elle constate une sorte de dogme qu'ont certaines personnes sur les preuves scientifiques liées à la construction d'un être humain.
Some people who are very, very passionate about not interfering with anything, including ectopic pregnancies, including non-viable pregnancies. It flies in the face of scientific evidence that certain situations cannot remedy themselves, and that it's just beyond belief that doctors would say, oh, we can't treat an ectopic pregnancy because there are a bunch of cells that now are diploid. They could have made the genetics of a person, but they cannot because they're growing in the fallopian tube, and they cannot make a person, no matter what you do with this. So why can't you save the woman's life? If you leave her alone and do nothing, she has a good chance of dying. For what? For what purpose? There's no possible way that an ectopic pregnancy can be made into a baby. It cannot happen.
En revanche, pour ceux qui sont pro-vie comme Brian Klaus, représentant de l'association de Human Life International, la décision est preuve que la démocratie fonctionne toujours.
Well, we hear a lot from the other side, if you can call them that, although I don't like to think of people on different sides, that this is an anti-democratic move. But as usual, they're telling exactly the opposite of what the truth is. It's anti-democratic when the unelected courts take a matter out of the hands of the people and make it a federal matter. Abortion and other matters like this should be a matter for the states where the people can vote on it. And this is what the opposition doesn't like. They don't like people to have a say in the laws of the land, which is why they talked for years and years about how great the Supreme Court is, because it gave them all of these things like removing prayer from the schools, gay marriage, abortion, euthanasia in some cases, all of these things. And all of a sudden, when the Supreme Court doesn't do what they want, then it's an evil institution that has to be destroyed.
Il estime que les faits scientifiques ne sont pas suffisants pour justifier le meurtre de ceux qu'il considère un être humain.
If you can prove to me medically that that unborn child is not a human being, I will become pro-choice right now. And nobody's been able to do that. Now, legally, the law can say anything. The law used to say that Black people were not fully human. And now with Roe v. Wade, the law said that the unborn child is a potential human, whatever the heck that is. When else are you going to say it's a human being? Anything else you pick is random. Like a human being at birth. Is it really a human being when it becomes born and it wasn't a human being an hour before? That doesn't make any sense. Or how about a human being at 20 weeks? All right, what's the difference between the person now at 20 weeks and 19 weeks? There's only one single time where there's a distinct break in the status before and the status after. You have two cells, the gametes, the sperm and the egg, which are human cells, but they're not persons. When they combine, then you get the 46 chromosomes. That's when the person begins. And if somebody thinks that's ridiculous, once again, I say, okay, when do you think the person begins? And whatever they pick is always random.
Au sein des communautés minoritaires, le débat se poursuit. Roosevelt Drama, associé principal pour les affaires publiques et les communications à l'Institut national latino pour la justice reproductive, constate que les communautés minoritaires seront la partie la plus touchée de la population.
We know that when abortion care is criminalized, when abortion is outlawed, the brunt of state oppression will fall upon communities that have been historically oppressed. So the Latinx community, the Black community, the Indigenous community, people with disabilities, younger people, people in the LGBTQ plus community. All of us are going to feel a much harder impact because of the overturn of Roe versus Wade than the rest of the country. Statistically speaking, these communities have been underserved and historically oppressed for many generations. We have less access to quality health care because we have less access to jobs with fair and just salaries that provide the benefits that we need. In the United States, the healthcare system is really upside down, and most folks here access healthcare through their employment. Unfortunately, in communities like the Black community, the Latinx community, the Indigenous community, because we have less access to these jobs that provide health insurance, that provide days off for you to be able to actually go to a doctor and seek care, and also because they provide less access to birth control, which is extremely important when we're talking about abortion care, reproductive rights, reproductive health, and reproductive justice. We have seen that our historically oppressed and underserved communities are going to suffer a harsher impact from this.
Selon elle, cette décision n'est pas représentative du peuple américain.
Right after this decision was handed down by the Supreme Court, there were a few polls that were conducted. And all of these polls found that the majority of people in this country, the vast majority of people in this country, want abortion care to remain legal in most or all cases. And that included 66% of Latinx folks who were polled. In that same poll, this is a poll that was conducted by CBS, one of the major news networks in this country. That same poll found that only 1 out of 10 people said that they wanted abortion to become illegal in their state. So despite the fact that we are seeing abortion become illegal in a large part of the country, something like 24 to 26 states have signaled that they are ready to outlaw abortion care. Only 1 in 10 people polled said that they want abortion to be illegal in their state. And that just reflects the amount of disenfranchisement that we have seen and the extreme radical legislators who are just being reckless in pursuing their own anti-abortion agenda and going against the will of the people in their states.
D'un l'autre côté, certains estiment que le mouvement pro-choix est né du racisme historique contre la communauté noire. C'est le constat de Savannah Craven, influenceuse, qui souhaite briser les préjugés sur ceux qui sont pro-vie.
So there is a lot of misconception that, pro-lifers are like these old white men conservatives, but we look at, Martin Luther King, he was pro-life, and his family members, his niece, who's a very big, outspoken, voice in the pro-life movement. And we just have a lot of diversity, and people just don't really realize that because that's not what the media shows. But I think that it is so important for people of color and Black people specifically to be pro-life, because we have been targeted by the pro-abortion movement, since the beginning. The founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, she was an open and proud racist eugenicist. She wanted to exterminate the Negro population. Planned Parenthood was originally called the Negro Project. And she saw anyone that wasn't, this specific race, basically looking like her, that they should just be exterminated. And so when I tell people that, and they're like, well, you're Black, how underprivileged, women of color are. And I say, why don't we fix that? Why don't we fix, that sort of thought around our community and say, well, we can provide more sustainable and, a more loving world for people to be born into. But the solution is not, killing us off, right?
Selon elle, le mouvement pro-vie est une chance pour les femmes de réclamer leurs droits fondamentaux.
I would first of all say that the choice to kill your child should never be a choice, right? Poverty, abuse, that is never a solution to, killing is never a solution to getting someone out of that situation. What we need to do is we need to make it known that women do have other options. We need to, make sure that pregnancy resource centers, which provide life-affirming support for women, things like maternal housing if she's in a rough living situation, money, babysitting if she is in school or has a job, diapers, formula, prenatal appointments, all of that is no cost to the woman. I actually, in my town, in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, one of my pregnancy resource centers here have a program where they financially take care of the woman and the child throughout her pregnancy up until the child is 3 years old. That's incredible. But a lot of people don't know about that. I talk about, to people on the street when I'm doing man on the street interviews, and people don't even know what a pregnancy resource center is. But abortion, is just such like a quick fix, to everything. It seems like, that's how the side portrays it. Like if you just get this abortion, you're going to go back to, your normal life. But the thing is that abortion doesn't make a woman's life better. It doesn't get her out of poverty, doesn't fix her situation, doesn't get her out of, that abusive relationship with her boyfriend. It doesn't help her at all. It tells her that you can't. It simply puts a Band-Aid on her situation. And now she has to mourn the death of her child. So to those people, I would just say that abortion is not a loving option. Women deserve better than that and deserve more than that.
Vu de la France, cette polémique n'est qu'un symptôme d'un pays déjà fracturé.
Moi, je ne pense pas que c'est la question de l'avortement qui a divisé les États-Unis. C'est les États-Unis sont fracturés en deux populations qui sont incapables de se parler entre elles. Le débat est devenu totalement impossible avec la cancel culture, c'est-à-dire que les personnes refusent d'entendre des choses qui leur déplaisent, c'est-à-dire s'il y a un professeur d'université qui fait un discours qui déplaît, les étudiants ont le droit de retrait pour ne pas écouter ce que la personne dit, ce qui veut dire tout simplement il est impossible d'écouter quelque chose qui est contraire à ce qu'on pense, qui est totalement le contraire de toute démocratie. C'est-à-dire, et l'avortement n'est qu'un des symptômes.
Le 8 juillet, le président des États-Unis, Joe Biden, a appelé aux citoyens américains d'aller voter lors des élections législatives en novembre. C'est le meilleur moyen, selon lui, de défendre les droits des femmes.